I received very interesting packages. Like every YouTuber that has somewhat of a following, I've been receiving a lot of emails asking if I want to be sponsored by different companies, including some that have nothing to do with what I talk to you about. I generally say no to these, and the first time I got an email from this company, I was interested yet not convinced. Let me tell you why. I received an email from Caydo. I would say Caydo, but I'm not sure if that's how they say it, but that's how I say it. And they wanted me to review their electric yarn winder, which is amazing, except that I do have an electric yarn winder, seeing as though I knit a lot and knitting is my job. I bought this amazing electric yarn winder from the company. It's called Romarin. It's based in Montreal. It's made here. It is amazing. I love it to pieces. I would never use anything else but this at this point, except I feel bad recommending it generally because it is quite expensive. If you have the money for it, amazing. If you don't, then obviously it's an expense. So when Caydo asked me if I wanted to review their yarn winder, I said, you know what? I'm happy to do it, but I want you to know that I will be comparing it against something that I already own. So I wanted to make sure they were okay with me doing a real comparison. They're not paying me to do this video. They just sent me the item to review. Also, something that I'm very excited about, I told them one thing I do not have one of and that I've never seen before is an automatic icord maker. That's interesting to me. I own a lot of knitting machines, but this is an icord knitting machine. So I'll be testing this one out too, and this one truly is something that I've never seen before. So stay tuned. I will be, first of all, showing you how to set up this thing, seeing if it's intuitive or not. And then I'll compare. I have two balls of yarn here, exact same yarn, different colors, so we can see the difference in the type of cakes it makes. If it is, you know, are the two similar in speed? Do they make the, you know, the same type of cakes, etc. I've seen a few reviews already. It seems to be working quite well. So yeah, I'll give you my pros and cons at the end of all of this. And if you stay tuned, there's going to be also a little giveaway at the end of the video. Let's roll it. Okay, so in the box, we have, mine is blue. I've seen a lot of purple ones, purple, pink. So this is the main mechanism here. Then the clamp to put on a table with the speed and on-off button. Then this is the thing that hooks onto it. It's quite large. I'll show you compared to my other one, but I'm guessing it could do easily bulky weight yarn. We've got instructions, obviously. I decided to watch the video for the instruction. I'm very much a video person. We've got these items here. Some tiny screws and a screwdriver and the plugging, you know, the cord. Let's put it together. So this, I believe, goes in here. Yes. It is a machine that is coming directly from China. Just so you know, that I prefer shopping local stuff, but obviously the price in items that are coming from China are a lot lower, so that's something to consider. And this one is entirely plastic, obviously, apart from a few different pieces. So this is in. Now I have to put that in here. I believe you have to slide it in. You're supposed to insert this part in. Here we go. You just have to kind of push it in a little bit. I was scared of breaking it, but that's how it's made. Okay, now we put the screw. Come on. Okay. And then you take this thing here, you put it on, and you kind of turn it until it's clicked in. Perfect. Here we go. Okay, so these are my two machines. Now, you can tell that this one takes up a bit more space, obviously. This thing is massive, super long compared to this one. This one is fully metal, like this is all metal. This is a plastic, probably a 3D printed plastic, but I have two huge clamps here. So I have the speed here. So I have solid metal clamps in here because I have a big metal machine. Here I have a little plastic clamp because I have a smaller, bigger but lighter plastic machine. All good. Now this one I have to plug in the wall. Okay. So I put this one here thinking, oh, I'll have to do the same thing here. Perfect. But this one is a USB to USB-C. So I have to go get an adapter of some sort to plug that. It did not come with an adapter. Other thing, the yarn guide is here. Okay, so this is where I have to put the yarn here and here. That will go into here. I think they are expecting most people, from what I see on the videos, to have hanks or balls that are already into balls, not skeins like this. Because my skeins are coming out of a Swift. So it's coming at the same level as the ball winder, which my yarn guide here is right here, and it goes onto the machine, which makes sense from the Swift to the guide. Here, the yarn guide is aimed at the floor. You're supposed to thread the yarn through here, and here, and here, and here, and here into this. For me, this should be angled that way, so it comes from my Swift. But we'll keep going and see for the rest. Two machines are set up. I had to move this one over to the other side of the table because the cable wasn't long enough to go and plug. So now, the yarn is still coming from behind the machine. I guess I could put it at the other end of the table and put the machine there and it would come more in diagonal, but I want to see how it performs. Like for this one, I know that wherever I place this, it's going to be fine. But I want to give the Caydo one a good chance and see how it works in my normal setting, which means that I'm never really setting up in a way that's ideal. I always have such a weird setup wherever I have space. Okay, so this is my Amish Swift, which I love. I'll do this. Okay. All right. Am I good? Whoop. I like to start unraveling a little bit by hand to see if there's a knot before I start. Okay. This goes inside the guide, which that's the first thing I don't love. This guide is completely closed at the bottom, which means that, I don't know, if I need to do something with the yarn, the guide is completely closed. I can't take it out. And then those are like springs. I'll show you. So you pass it through this guide. Then there's a spring here, like that. That's supposed to keep tension onto your yarn. And, are you supposed to wind it all the way around? Let me see. Instructions. I've never seen springs like this for this type of... I used to have a manual winder. So it says to go, lift up the spring and feed the yarn through the groove in the middle. Okay, let's see. Forgive the TV on the floor. My house is still under construction. We don't have space for everything. Okay, so the spring, is it only the spring? No, that's gonna get caught for sure. So, oh, there's a little groove on this side here. This one. Okay. And this one, I guess. That sounds about right. And then like this is how I start my winder. Let's see how it performs. I'll give you a good view. Okay. Okay, it doesn't have enough. It stops by itself when it meets resistance, but I mean, it works. Is it fast? Not really, in my opinion. I feel like the resistance on all of those like springs and things is making it more difficult for the machine to pull the yarn here. I want to set up a timer. Have a stopwatch here. Obviously I started already, so I'll do the same thing with the other one and I'll give it a little bit of a crank before I start the stopwatch. But here we go. Let's do it. This is at maximum speed. It's a worsted weight yarn. I can definitely tell that the thing is slowing down as it's filling up because there's more weight, and so I guess it's having more trouble going around fast. It's still winding. Alright. Okay, pause. Whoops. Okay, it took 3 minutes 10. Here we go. Pretty compact. A little bit like an oblong shape. Now let's do the other one and see how it compares. And this one goes quite fast. Whoops, where's my... And when it goes fast, it shakes everything, as you can tell here. So I'm gonna lift up the camera when it's time to film because it's so heavy and it goes so fast. Okay, by the way, this is 100% wool worsted weight, and it's 100 gram, has 220 yards, 200 meters. I'm expecting this one to create
a faster ball. I'm expecting it to go faster. I know because I've used it before. So that one is not new to me. Okay, so let's see. And I also know that this one is a little bit faster to thread. I just go around and put it in. And I'm gonna start it so I can get to similar point as it was before. Oh. I'm gonna make sure that my skein is properly placed so it is not skewing the results. Okay, that should be fine now. Okay, I have a little bit of a beginning of a ball. So now I start the timer, and here we go. This one only has one place where it's going through, and so there's really not much friction at all. So it's pulling quite easily from the winder, and obviously the motor is so much stronger. But again, I paid more than 3 times the price, maybe even 4 times the price of the other plastic one. I've never timed this machine making a ball before, so I'm curious. And it's done, 1 minute and 14 seconds. Oops. And here's the cake. Let's see the difference. This is the cake the first one made, and this is the cake the second one made. So this one is much more flat at the bottom, more like a cylinder, and this one is like a little bit football shaped. But you know, they did the job. This one 2 times faster. This one feels a bit more compact, which technically you don't want to put your yarn in cakes like that if you're not going to be using it soon, just because if it has too much tension, it can degrade the yarn long term if you store it long term like this, if it's natural fibers. I don't know about acrylics or even cotton, but wools have memory and stretch, and if you keep them under tension like this for too long, it could be bad for them. All right, let's test this one now. I'm super excited about that. I have different tools to make icords. I can make icords obviously with just my needles, right? It's just very long. Or I can make icords with the cordsmith tool that I have, which I'll show you. But this one, the automatic one, I've also seen icord tools that are very similar to this, but are not automatic, which means you have to crank a handle to make the icord. This one is fully powered by USB. Same thing as even comes with a little bit of wool just to have you try it. I'm curious to know, 1, is it foolproof? Does it really work well? And 2, how thick or small of yarn do you actually have to use for it to work? So, again, I'm gonna have to put it together. Comes with this little thing here. There's not much to put together. It's 4 needles and this thing here that you have to screw into the base. So, okay, it's screwed. Now I have this. Like this, this button here should be facing in so that the icord that's coming out of this hole is free outside of the table to come down. So here's the thing. You can manually turn it. Does it turn both ways? Yeah, so you have to know which way it's going to go, or else it's going to be a problem. Does it tell you? Yeah, it tells you that that's forward, I guess, and that's backwards. Okay, There's a button, but obviously right now it's not on because it's not even plugged in. There's a clamp. Came with this. I'll try it with this first. It came with a hook and a needle to bring it through here, the yarn at first. And it came with weights because knitting machines generally love weights. I'm gonna have to have a source of power. I think I can probably plug it in my computer. Let's try that and see if it works. Okay, change of scenery to my kitchen island because I do have a USB plug here. It came with this crochet slash needle, very long one, that is for pulling the yarn into the middle of the thing. So I'm going to take this tiny little ball of yarn and try it. I would say that this is a size, maybe a category worsted, probably a category 4, DK to worsted. And it came in this little tiny little ball. So what they say to do is bring the yarn through the middle here, and you can get help by, oops. If you're having trouble pulling it through the middle, you put it into the needle here and you just bring it through. Okay, perfect. That's easy enough. Then you manually start to knit the first few stitches. So you make sure that the latches are open, which is something that you have to do in machine knitting in general. And then you go forward and you have the yarn go through. Okay, yeah. Do I have to bring it through the yarn guide? I would think that'd be smart, but at the same time, if I bring it through the yarn guide, I have the same problem as with the other machine, which is that if it breaks or if something happens and I want to undo something, I have to take it completely out. Not a problem, I'll still do it. Okay, and then push it through here. Catch it. Okay, so first you gotta catch it through one needle, fine, and then it says to go behind the second one, and it's gonna go through the third needle and behind the fourth, and that's just to cast on, because if you go through all of them, it's not gonna work. And then it says to do a few turns without the machine being on, and you do have to pull on the tail of the yarn, or else the latch, it won't go past the latches and then it won't knit, which is classic for if you have any knitting machine experience. So I could do it by hand if I'm scared of it not working, and it works really well. Perfect. But then what I find very cute is that they have these weights that are basically just these things, right, that you put in. So you'll take the tail of your yarn, the one that's at the bottom, and you'll thread it through and bring it up and put the weight on here, and do the same thing. They say to put the two weights to make sure that there's plenty of weight. Oops. It's easier without holding it up. So now I have those two weights, and I can start it. Wish me luck. Let's see what happens. This. I don't know what speed it's gonna go. If I turn it by myself, I can see that it actually is knitting, and the weights are gonna turn, which is normal. So it's working well manually. It's a 4 needle icord. Okay, let's start it and see. Obviously my wool right now is just kind of bopping on the floor because it's not a center pull ball, but normally I would probably, it says that it won't pull the yarn necessarily. You have to have it run free. So let's see. Scary. Okay. works. And obviously at some point I'm gonna have to bring the weights up because it's gonna keep going lower and lower. Starting to see the icord come down. And that's it. It's definitely faster than if I were doing it on my own or with my cord smith. Curious to see what it looks like with a different size yarn, which I'll do in a few minutes. I'll just let this one go until the end. So eventually I'm gonna have to bring up these. So they say that first just pause it. Sorry for the back of my island that's not actually finished. You're getting a real treat view of what happens when you're doing a full reno of your big house. So you can like just bring it up and bring it directly all the way up onto the actual cord and then press on it again and it'll keep going. And it turns. I think my kids would have a good old time with that. So if you have any plans on making like legit icord yarn, like making really thick yarn to crochet with or knit with, that'd be really fun, because making icord yarn by hand is really long. Or if you wanted to do an icord, a long icord to then cast on something from the icord, that'd be really cool too. Obviously it wouldn't work if you wanted to do an icord edging onto something that's already existing, because you can't reach and put the yarn, the work through. I'm gonna let it go until the end and then cast off the way they're telling you to cast off. Once it starts getting to the end, you want to hold on to the bottom so the weights don't crash onto your floor. They're in plastic, but still, you know, they're weights. Are they plastic? Might be metal. I'll check after. So I'm gonna hold it, let it go to the end. Yoo-hoo! Okay. And I'm left with this. And I can choose whichever way I want to cast off. They recommended I would leave more of a tail because I don't want it to... Why is it stuck? What's your problem? I would leave more of a tail because I don't want to have too little. You have to sew the tail in usually. Okay. Then I would catch all the loops with this. You could also use the needle to weave, or not to weave, to put the end through all of the loops. Come on, loop. Here we go. Pull through everything. That's a really not so amazing crochet hook. And then pull through everything. And here you go. You get a long little worm. Ta-da! Let's go get some smaller yarn and see what happens. Okay, you might be hearing the rain, which is nice. This is what I've been making with this. So I've been making icord yarn with my cordsmith, which is a 3-prong tool that makes icord like this. And it's still very manual. And even if it's nice and relaxing, it is still time consuming, and I've made quite a bit of yarn using that. And this is fingering weight yarn, quite light fingering weight yarn. So I'm going to use the same fingering weight yarn to try and see what it's going to create with that one. Probably have to put it in a bowl of some sort so it doesn't roll around everywhere, because it goes fast. Okay, let's try just a clean bowl here on the floor. Let's do it this guide through the hole. If you wanted to make garlands, that'd be fun. Then I'll manually, I have to open the latches because it's not gonna work if the latches are closed. Manually cast on this and this and this. Okay, now open all the hooks, put the weights on. I'll hold on here because if I put the weights and I don't hold on and it hasn't knit quite yet, it's not gonna be awesome. Okay, open. Make sure that it's actually knitting. Yes. No. The starting is always the more tricky part. Second weight, it does need the 2. Come on. Okay. Let's see how thick this thing will be compared to my Cordsmith one. Maybe I'll want to redo all of this. I was making this yarn thinking, hey, I have a lot of leftovers, and maybe if I make yarn with my leftovers, then I can use it to teach. So I can have really thick yarn to make things out of. It'd be super cool also to make like something like a carpet or whatever with really thick yarn. This is definitely a keeper. It's $100. Is it worth your $100? It depends on what you want to make with it, because obviously it's icord. It doesn't do anything else than icord. But I think it's fascinating. You can't leave it for too long by itself because once the weights hit the floor, it's not gonna wanna knit anymore. So you do have to be present, but I could be knitting on my other project while this is happening, which is kind of cool. And just to see the difference, this is the thick wool that was more like a worsted weight, and this is the skinny wool, the fingering weight yarn. This one is the one I made out of the Cordsmith, which has 3 prongs, and this is the 4-prong automatic one. This is cool because it's thicker. Depends on what you want to do with it, obviously. But I might have to switch to this thing for my icord needs. Quite love it. All right, that is it for today. I think it was pretty successful. I'm really happy with what I got to try. It is a great option for people that want to have an upgrade on their hand cranked machine, but don't want to spend too much. The product is originally $159 or $149 on their website, but it has been discounted to $99, and I do have affiliate links in the description box below. So if you click on that link, it will give me a kickback and it will give you a 30% off, an additional 30% off. So that machine becomes, I believe, $70 if you're buying it with my link. You can also add the code if the link doesn't work. You can add code CLOTRICOT with an S. I'll write it right here. And it's the same for the electric icord machine. You can buy it. It's $99 full price, so you can have a discount on it. And as for the Romarin Caker, it's called the Caker. That one is $425 Canadian. So like I said, it is much more pricey, but also much more durable. And because I own the Caker and I love it so much, I will actually be giving away the Caydo yarn winder to one of you. I will be running this giveaway for a few days only, so if you are interested in winning it, you can write a comment down here that includes the word cake, C-A-K-E. Any comment with the word cake in it will be considered for the giveaway, and I will be picking a winner, and I'll put a video up on this channel, probably a short video saying who the winner is. That winner will have to write
to me in order to claim their price. I will not be contacting you in any way, shape, or form through my other social media accounts, so please don't give anybody personal information on the internet. That being said, thank you so much for trying it out with me. If you would like me to review other things that you've been curious about, let me know. I'm always looking for more things to test. If you like this video, don't hesitate to subscribe. I have a lot of video on different subjects, and that lets me know that I'm putting out content that you guys appreciate. Have a great week. Bye!